Hi everyone, welcome to Dustin, the Blind Minnesotan podcast. Today we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in Minnesota with the blind and visually impaired community and things that'll affect other disabled communities because, we are part of the greater disability community, even if my podcast doesn't really focus on that. But, some of the topics today I'm going to talk about are it could affect other kind of disability groups. So even if you don't have blind or visually impairment issue, it's still good for you to listen because I'm going to spill my take on this because the only people who've been spilling their take on this are Democrat news sources like NPR or Republican news sources like Alpha News. And they're just trying to use us disabled people as political points. And they're just slamming each other who can help the disabled people most. And they're not really solving the damn problem. So today, I'm going to talk about how, in my opinion, as a disabled person, how we can fix the problem in the disabled community with the money shortage for waivers, not having enough money for waivers, and for disabled people and all that stuff. How can we get more PCAs in the industry to take care of people with disabilities? Because that's also another problem. So let's get started. So the first thing we have to do is to fund the waiver program for people with disabilities. We can't just keep raising taxes on people because eventually, normal people are going to get stressed out, trying to pay taxes to the public welfare system to keep it afloat here in Minnesota. So this is how I would kind of fix the problem. Okay, pretend if I was Tim Walz. Okay, hello, I'm Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, the Canada of the Midwest. What I would do is I would find, how a lot of federal workers here in Minnesota can actually work from home? So what I would do is I would say, okay, downtown St. Paul, first thing I would do, multiple things I would do. This is why this is a podcast, so I can ramble. There's multiple things I would do. First thing I would say, okay, we have all these empty government buildings that's owned by the state, and we're wasting our taxpayer money maintaining them when there's nothing in them. So the first thing I would do is I would turn some of the buildings in, not the Capitol building itself, but some of the office buildings around the Capitol building that the politicians use, and I would turn them into day centers. So I would say, okay, some things the day centers can do is educate disabled people, teach disabled people how to code, teach disabled people how to organize mail, teach disabled people how to be massage therapists, teach disabled people how to be doctors, teach disabled people how to be nurses. And and that's what this day center can do. So then we want it in downtown St. Paul, so all the disabled people living in the suburbs can hop on the city bus, take it to downtown St. Paul, get off the city bus in downtown St. Paul, walk to the day center, learn all these skills, and then that the middle companies in Minnesota want, and then us to have, and then make us employable, and then we don't, and then we can take the city bus to downtown St. Paul to do it. So that's one thing we can do. And then some of the old office spaces that the state owns in downtown St. Paul can be converted into daycares for very low functioning disabled people. So people can drive or take the bus to downtown St. Paul and drop off their kids, and then they can bus to work. So then So then, instead of sending all these PCAs to all these single family neighborhoods and paying for their gas, paying for their living expenses and all that by going out by shipping them out to the suburbs, if we can have all the disabled people go to one central place with very low functioning, in the downtown St. Paul, we don't need so many staff to monitor so many disabled people, because the disabled people are all kind of in one place. And then, and they can watch TV and help, or they can go help homeless people, feed homeless people. There's so many things that they can have disabled people, low functioning disabled people do. Make stew, so then the high functioning people that are at the day program can feed the homeless. And it's so much things that we could do to solve that problem. And then the metro mobility fees will be lower, because that means we don't have to ship people all around the suburbs, because people could just take the city bus right to downtown St. Paul. And then the other thing we could do is the state of St. Paul, not state, but the state of Minnesota can use government domain and buy office buildings in downtown St. Paul and convert them into low-income housing / Section D housing. So hundreds and hundreds of people that are surviving off Social Security can then move into downtown St. Paul and live along the Green Line train and live next to Union Depot, the biggest bus station in the St. Paul Metro. So then hundreds of disabled people can just walk to the train, the Green Line train, to travel, or walk to Union Depot and travel with public transportation, and take the city bus instead of relying on metro mobility. Because the issue is when disabled people have to live out in the suburbs because it's the only affordable place, there's no way for them to get around because in the affordable place. So then they're taking metro mobility. And the more disabled people have to live in the suburbs, the more the state has to spend on metro mobility. And then the more we have to tax people to pay for it. But if most disabled people were able to get housing in downtown St. Paul, where there is the city bus system already, we can ship more disabled people around on less busing because of all the major city buses, because you can fit more disabled people on a city bus than on a metro mobility bus. And then you can ship more disabled people around the metro on the city bus for more effective cost than having them use metro mobility. So the good thing is then if they house more disabled people in downtown St. Paul, it'll be easier for disabled people to get around because of all the public transportation. And then if it's easy for people to get to public transportation to get around, more disabled people can be working. And then if more disabled people are working, that means they're not pulling so much money from the waiver programs and from Social Security, in on our system. That means our system would be more affordable because less people are taking money out of the pot. And that means we don't have to tax non-disabled people so much. So it's a very good benefit, doing that system. So that's what I think. And also, another method that we could do is, help disabled people start businesses in downtown St. Paul. And so they can pay into the system too. So now downtown St. Paul has all this empty spaces. So if, they have more disabled people live in downtown St. Paul, there'll be more disabled people in the area. spending money at the local coffee shops, spending money at the local Lunds and Barleys in town, and all that stuff, bringing more economic power to downtown St. Paul. And then, then the state can hand out scholarships to help disabled people open up cafes, bodegas, that's small mom and pop grocery stores, but a bodega is a mom and pop grocery store. Clothing stores, art galleries, and then give disabled people grants to help them open that stuff in downtown St. Paul once more disabled people and regular people are living in downtown St. Paul. And then, disabled people like to spend money at disabled people's businesses and keep the money within the disabled community. And then, disabled people can actually start building assets and start paying business taxes like non-disabled people do. And because they're making money off their business, they're actually contributing to the system. So if we turn downtown St. Paul into a giant disabled people paradise, it will be great. And then the good thing is, if you turn downtown St. Paul into a giant disabled paradise, a lot of those disabled people are going to need PCAs for assistance. And then what we can do is we can go to a lot of the low-income people who are struggling with minimum wage jobs in South Minneapolis and North Minneapolis, and then train those people guys how to be PCAs for the disabled and for seniors. And then what we can do is we can get them jobs taking care of the disabled people that we're housing in downtown St. Paul. So then, they can bus to downtown St. Paul, do PCA work, and then bus back home to North and South Minneapolis. So it's a great system and then more businesses would want to come to downtown St. Paul because there's a bunch of disabled people living in the area wanting to spend their extra Social Security checks. So, and their part-time work money, if they have part-time work. So that's kind of one of my solutions, to lower the pull on the waiver system. Another idea that I had that we can stop the pull on the waiver system is helping disabled people get jobs, because a lot of disabled people, they can work, but the issue is no one will hire them. So, for example, here in Columbia Heights, we're a 24-hour ADA Metro Mobility Zone. Fridley, where my job is at Bob's Produce Ranch, is located in a 24-hour ADA zone. And then Southern Blaine is in a 24-hour ADA zone. But the issue, so technically, people around where I live can easily take Metro Mobility to work and be productive citizens, right? But the issue is, and pay into the system. But the issue is when places will like Target, Walmart, Sam's Club, and those companies won't hire people. Okay, they will hire people with disabilities, but not enough to make an impact. I'm saying is, those big corporate stores like Walmart, Target, and Cubs and stuff, they can hire hundreds of disabled people to stock shelves. They can hire hundreds of disabled people to run the subway in the Walmarts. They can hire hundreds of disabled people to clean the Walmart. I don't know, I'm picking on Walmart, sorry. Walmart's one of my favorite stores. So, because it's cheap, and I grew up a redneck, and rednecks shop at Walmart. So, I really like Walmart. So, places like Walmart can hire so many disabled people and have them do non-cashiering jobs. Like, we can hire people with autism. They can hire people with autism to run the IT department. You mean, and or the IT section at the store. So then, we need to encourage big companies like Walmart to hire hundreds of disabled people. And then, when disabled people are working, they're paying into the system, and then when they're paying into the system, it helps fund the waiver programs for disabled people who can't work. So it's just a vicious cycle. So we need the state. Tim Walz needs, in the state of Minnesota, needs to and have businesses prioritize and hire disabled people first. Definitely, if the businesses are located in Metro Mobility ADA zones, where it's easier for people to get to work. With Metro Mobility, when there's no city bus, and back home. Another thing I kind of want to mention is, we need to raise the cost of things like the city bus for non-disabled people and the train. And then we can use that money to fund the waiver program. Because, we don't want Minnesota going in debt, trying to pay for things we can't afford. We have to think, we have to raise taxes on tabs and other things people need, like liquor licenses and stuff, to then use money to pay for the waiver services. And the more people that the state houses in downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul, where there's public transportation and things are walkable, the cheaper it's going to cost to take care of the disabled community. Trust me. If the state hurdled as many disabled people in downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul as possible, where there's public transportation and more affordable health care, the costs they have, trust me, will pay for waivers and stuff, and Metro Mobility and stuff will drop. Another thing I kind of want to talk about is, is the new food stamp policy that Donald Trump passed, that non-disabled people have to now work part-time, at least 30 hours a week, to get their food stamps. And this is for non-disabled people, and I see that as a good thing, because normal people who are not disabled have been stealing resources from the disabled community for years. Food stamps are made for low-income disabled people, and normal people who are just lazy have been stealing our benefits for years. So Donald Trump's new plan to make non-disabled people, so normal people, work part-time to get their food stamps, that is a good thing for the disabled community, because the more non-disabled people that we kick off food stamps, that's good, because that means more money for food for disabled people. Us disabled people have to start putting ourselves first, because if we don't put ourselves first, we are going to suffer. So us disabled people, we need to start speaking out for ourselves, like what I'm doing in this podcast. I am encouraging thousands and thousands and thousands of disabled people here in Minnesota and beyond the planet to start recording your lives and blogging your lives and start uploading short videos, 3-minute videos, to Instagram as Reels. You have to upload them as Reels, because Reels tells, if you upload them as a Reel, it tells Facebook that it's Meta, that it's a video that you want hundreds of people to share in the algorithm. So you want to upload your lives as Reels, so then thousands of people on Instagram that are sighted can see how you live your life as a blind and visually impaired person on the social media platform. Because if we can show young people on Instagram that, look, at this is how we live our lives as disabled people in the form of video, it will be a good thing, because they'll be more willing to hire us and stuff when they become managers, CEOs, and all that in the future. So just keep on posting videos of your lives, please, on social media, like definitely Instagram, so we can make more people aware about the blind and visually impaired community here that we live in. And also, we need to, improve the Metro Transit bus system. You know how New York and Chicago and stuff, a lot of people can pay for the transit with their Apple Pay and Google Pay and Samsung Pay on their phone. I think that the Metro Transit city buses here in Minnesota should do the same thing, because Apple Pay and stuff is very accessible to most people with disabilities. So, and then a lot of people with disabilities don't have to worry about, oh, do I have my to-go card? Do I have enough change? If they can just use Apple Pay on the bus. So Metro Transit, if you can hear this, please add Apple Pay to the bus. I would definitely appreciate it. And then also, I'm going to say, is my personal life has been okay. I am now 28. So for my 20th birthday, my aunts, my cousins, and my friends from Bob's Produce Ranch, where I work in Fridley, Minnesota, met up at a Mexican place here in Columbia Heights, and we ate Mexican food and celebrated my 28th birthday. Yay! I'm 28 and still in retail, guys. I'm 28 and still in retail. So if you guys are older than 28 and still in retail, and you're a millennial like me, don't feel bad, guys. I'm stuck in retail with you. So we can suffer, millennials, we all can suffer in retail together forever, because the economy is not going to improve anytime soon. So, and when the economy does improve, by that time AI would take over all the white collar jobs. So we're going to be stuck doing retail and all that anyways for the rest of our lives, because AI has not taken over physical stores yet. But how fast AI is going, soon they might, but not as quickly as white collar jobs. So I get you guys. We're suffering in unity. So world peace. We want world peace. Everyone in the world just has to work in a retail store and run into a Karen. Suddenly, there'll be world peace, because everyone will hate people like Karens, and we'll nuke all countries that have hundreds of Karens in them, and then there'll be world peace, because everyone that will survive won't be Karens. So it's one of those. So it's one of those things that if everyone worked in retail, for 10 years plus straight, everyone will be more humble and there'll be world peace. So it's one of those things, I'm like, yay, I'm 28, I'm still in retail. So, and I was going through really big depression. So then, I had a family get together with my friends and stuff. So, I can feel like life is worth living, because, yay, paying bills, going to work, woohoo, living paycheck to paycheck is sure fun. You know what I mean? Sure makes life enjoyable. So, I had a family get together for my birthday, my 28th birthday, so I can feel good and about my mental health and about myself. And then my mom came up from Fort Myers, Florida, and came up to spend some few days with me. And my mom got to meet my boss, and and then, and that went well. My friends from Bob's Produce Ranch in Fridley met my mom, and it was a really good day. My brother, I go up to my brother's place up in Blaine. I hang out with them on sometimes my days off at their luxury apartment that has a fitness center, underground parking, patios that faces a trailer park. Ooh, okay. Facing the trailer park is way better than facing the parking lot. But the issue is, if I lived that way, I'll always be nervous because everyone from the trailer park can see me drinking my overpriced wine, sitting on the patio from down below. Because my brother's apartment on one side faces like University, the highway in Blaine. The other side faces Central, the highway in Blaine. The one side faces the parking lot in Menards in Blaine, and the other side faces a trailer park. So at least the trailer park by his their apartment building has trees, because a lot of trailer parks don't even have trees because the trailers are so compact. So at least the trailer park by my brother's house / apartment has trees. So when he's on the 3rd floor overlooking the trailer park, that's behind his apartment building that he's living in, he at least sees some trees. So I go up to Blaine, hang out at all the high-end restaurants up there with my brothers, because they live in Blaine. And then my stepmom Jess and my real dad come down from Otsego and hang out with me and my brothers in Blaine. My brothers, what's funny is they're technically live separate, but they also live together at the same time because they both live in the same building, both my brothers, but they live in 2 different units. So it's funny is, so when I say my brothers, they're technically both not living together, but they are because they're both in the same building. So because up in the high-end suburbs like Blaine and all that stuff in Anoka County, where the county I live in, there's not that many high-end apartments. So that have security and all that kind of stuff. So they ended up just choosing the same building because they have the same kind of tastes. So yay! So then I spent time with my brothers, and then I spent time with my friend from work, and then I spent time with my cousin down in St. Paul, and then I spent time with my friend in Champlin. So, then I do podcast episodes like this. So my life has been pretty busy. And then I work at Bob's Produce Ranch in Fridley, some days 4 days a week, and some weeks 3 days a week, some weeks 2 days a week, some days it's 7 days a week, because it depends on how busy we are. So where I work at Bob's Produce Ranch, I like my coworkers there. The produce is not my favorite part of the store, even if the store is called Bob's Produce Ranch. My favorite part of the store is the deli, because we have an amazing deli. The bakery is amazing. I love our bakery. To me, the stuff I like is the cakes, the pies, and stuff at our bakery that you have to call ahead and ask them to pre-make for you. The meat department is pretty good. The grocery department is pretty good. Of course, we sell the staples like peanut butter and stuff, chips and all that kind of stuff. But some of the stuff in grocery department that's unique is like Sweet Martha's cookie dough. I love the Sweet Martha's cookie dough, and you can barely find that outside. Of the state fair. So I love that kind of stuff. We sell some weird spices, some weird Bob's Produce Ranch sauces and stuff that you can't find at major stores. So Bob's, we have some cool salad dressing in the produce section that's made in North Minneapolis. We have in other places around the Midwest. And then we have Bob's pretzels, the Bob's branded stuff is what makes our store special. And the Bob's branded stuff is my favorite kind of stuff. Like when I'm at work, I will buy a bag of cotton candy grapes because who doesn't like cotton candy grapes? So I'll buy a bag of cotton candy grapes, strawberries, blueberries, and all that kind of stuff. But when I'm at work, most time I try to go after the Bob's brand of bread, the Bob's brand of cheese dip, the Bob's brand of ranch for my salad. You mean that kind of stuff. Because like I try to get the unique stuff when I'm at work, like the Bob's version of milk. So because it tastes different than the big brands, and I like eating like that kind of unique kind of food. And then the bus at night, the 10U bus at night can be kind of full of weird people. And for a little bit, the North Town Mall, 2 blocks north of my work, wasn't really safe because all the teenagers shooting at each other at the transit station. But now that mall is starting to crack down on teenagers, so and unwatched teenager because their parents just stitch them at the mall. So now the mall, North Town Mall, 2 blocks north of Bob's, is becoming safer because they're keeping teenagers from fighting at the transit station and fighting in the mall. So because they're actually hiring security to deal with it. So so at least the North Town Mall is becoming safer. I was a little bit nervous because one of the people in Fridley that got attacked, a basketball player, was playing in Robbinsdale, and some people came up and started beating him as he was playing basketball with a pipe and left. But because I work in Fridley with a bunch of teenagers who go to school in Fridley, to them that was horrifying because their friend / the popular kid in their school got attacked while at Robbinsdale playing basketball, and the kid did not even know the adults that attacked him. So even during the police investigation, they just attacked them because they wanted to attack them. So then a lot of the teenagers at Bob's, they were horrified because what if I'm doing a sports event over in Robbinsdale, Crystal, New Hope, and I get attacked for no good reason? So a lot of the kids and teenagers I worked with at Bob's were kind of fearful because not of work. They knew they were safe at work, but when they were not at work, living their everyday lives, trying to do teenager things. So, yeah, I would be horrified too if I was a teenager at Robbinsdale watching a basketball game and some guy came up and started beating my classmate / enemy or friend or whatever is going on with a pipe, and it's 4 adults. Just random adults beating up my classmate? I'll be horrified too. So, so right now the teenagers are on edge and then the Fridley school is dealing with bomb threats, shooting threats, and all that stuff, and that's bringing some fear into work because the teenagers just be lucky. Me, Carol, the night manager, she has things so under wrapped and she's so put together and she has her shit together that when she's working, the teenager, even me, who has ADHD and anxiety, when Carol, the night manager, is working at Bob's Produce Ranch, the closing manager, I feel calm because Carol, our night manager, you don't want to F with her because she's one of those people, if you F with her and you try to F us up, she will easily F you up. Carol's a tough lady cookie, you guys, and me and Carol, the night closing manager at Bob's Produce Ranch, we get along well, in my opinion. I'm not her, so I don't know how she thinks of it, but in my opinion, I get along with her pretty well, and we get along pretty well. So work has been slow because it's not the summer season, and yeah, that's how that part of my life is going. And also some other things, I want to talk about, because this is a podcast and I haven't made one of these in a while, is, I've been trying different foods, I've been trying different restaurants, and trying to keep open-minded, and I'm just not letting, Trump scare me with his threats and, mean and his lashes, and I have a feeling us disabled people are going to be okay at the end of this whole election thing. And don't let everything that you see on Twitter /X, on Instagram, on Facebook scare you. Because remember, these articles, these news articles and stuff want you scared, so then you click and then you read the article and they make more click and ad revenue. So just, don't be scared, you guys. Don't fall for the media scare tactic, where I have a gut feeling that us disabled people are going to go get through the President Trump presidency like, oh, what happened? We're all still here. So yeah, so just be careful what you're watching on the social medias, and don't believe the mainstream media 100%, but don't believe what you see online 100%. So it doesn't matter if the article comes from CNN, Fox, CBS, or whatever. If the article comes from them or this random poster on X, don't trust both of them. Trust what you see with your eyes. That's why I go to Lake Street in South Minneapolis and I check things out for myself. That's why I go to North Minneapolis along Broadway and I check things for myself. And I use my own eyes to process what's going on in a community. Because so then I'm not getting biased about a view of a community just because someone told me to. So just remember, guys, don't get scared of all this because of all this misinformation online. And then so as long as we kind of we watch our budget, Minnesota's waiver program should be fine. If we can have more disabled people move to downtown St. Paul, or as much disabled people move to downtown St. Paul as possible, it will save us so much money shipping people, finding staff, paying staff, reversing staff for gas, and it'll just make life easier. Well, guys, thank you for listening to this podcast. I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.